Hello and welcome back to Scholastically Natalie. Sorry for the late video again. I've gotten extremely distracted watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where Salem is a talking puppet cat, and it's amazing. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do, so that's been quite a happy discovery for me. So today, we are continuing on with Candide by Voltaire, and we are on Chapter 5, titled Tempest, Shipwreck, Earthquake, and What Became of Dr. Pangloss, Candide, and James the Anabaptist. For a recap, in the past few chapters, Candide stumbled upon a very nice man named James, who's an Anabaptist, who took him in and gave him charity, and he coincidentally, or perhaps by the designs of fate, ran into Pangloss, his old teacher, who had contracted syphilis and thus needed a lot of medicine, which James was kind enough to pay for. They decided to take a ship to the Bay of Lisbon, where they encountered a storm, which is where we start. Half the passengers were weakened, dying from that inconceivable anguish which the rolling of a ship produces in the nerves and in all the humors of the body as they are tossed in opposite directions. They did not have the strength to realize what danger they were in. The other half shrieked and prayed. The sails were torn, the masts broken, and the ship was gaping open. Those who could work did so, but no one could hear, and no one was in command. The Anabaptist on the upper deck was helping with the rigging when a furious sailor struck him a violent blow, and he went sprawling. But with the force of the blow he had let fly, the sailor himself tumbled overboard head first. He remained suspended, stuck on a piece of broken mast. Honest James ran to his assistance, hauled him up, and in the effort fell into the sea in full view of the sailor, who left him to drown without even looking on. Candide drew near and saw his benefactor, who rose above the water for a moment and was then swallowed up forever. He was about to jump in after him, but was prevented by the philosopher Pangloss, who demonstrated to Candide that the Bay of Lisbon had been expressly created for the Anabaptist to drown in. While he was proving this a priori, the ship broke up and everyone perished except Pangloss, Candide, and the brutal sailor who had drowned the virtuous Anabaptist. The rogue swam safely to shore, while Pangloss and Candide were carried there on a plank. As soon as they had recovered themselves a little, they walked towards Lisbon. They had some money left with which they hoped to save themselves from starvation after escaping the storm. Scarcely had they reached the city, mourning the death of their benefactor, when they felt the earth tremble under their feet. The sea rose, boiling in the harbor, breaking the vessels at anchor. Whirlwinds of fire and ash covered the streets and city squares. Houses crumbled and roofs plummeted down onto foundations, and the foundations liquefied. 30,000 inhabitants of all ages and sexes were crushed under the ruins. The sailor, whistling and swearing, said there's loot to be had here. What can the sufficient reason of this phenomenon be? Said Pangloss. This is the end of the world, cried Candide. The sailor immediately ran off among the ruins, facing death to find money, found it, took it, got drunk, and having slept himself sober, purchased the favors of the first willing girl he met on the ruins of the destroyed houses, in the midst of the dying and the dead. But Pangloss caught him by the sleeve. "My friend," said he, "this is not right. You are disobeying the law of universal reason, and you have chosen your moment badly." "Bloody hell," replied the other. "I'm a sailor, born in Batavia, which is apparently a Dutch colony that's now called Jakarta in modern Indonesia. I have trampled on the crucifix 4 times on voyages to Japan. You've got the wrong man for your universal reason." Additionally, Japan in the 1630s was suspicious of the ambitions of Christians, and they expelled all foreigners, and European traders were forced to trample on the crucifix and renounce their faith when they arrived, apparently. Some falling bricks had wounded Candide. He was lying in the street covered with debris. "Help," he appealed to Pangloss. "Get me a little wine and oil. I'm dying." "This kind of earthquake is no new thing," answered Pangloss. "There were similar tremors in the city of Lima in America last year. The same cause, the same effects. There's definitely an underground seam of sulfur leading from Lima to Lisbon. Nothing is more probable," said Candide, "but for the love of God, a little oil and wine." "How do you mean, probable?" replied the philosopher. "I maintain that it is demonstrable." At this point, Candide lost consciousness, and Pangloss brought him some water from a nearby fountain. I low-key love Pangloss because his priorities are so messed up. The following day, having found some bits and pieces to eat amongst all the rubble, they recovered some of their strength. Then they worked alongside others to bring relief to those inhabitants who had escaped death. Some of the residents whom they had rescued gave them as good a dinner as they could in such disastrous circumstances. True, the meal was a cheerless one, and the guests watered their bread with tears, but Pangloss consoled them, assuring them that all things could not be otherwise. "Because," he explained, "all this is for the best, for if there is a volcano in Lisbon, then it cannot be anywhere else, as it is impossible that things should not be as they are, for all is well." And here I'd like to take a side note that I do so love this touch of satire, because in the face of great tragedy, somebody who's not personally affected by it coming in and kind of helping, but then remaining completely insensitive to the tragedy that people have experienced, and just being kind of it's clearly meant everything will be fine, the useless platitudes that mean nothing. A little man dressed in black, an officer of the Inquisition, who was sitting at his side, politely spoke up. Apparently, "Sir does not believe in original sin, for a fall is for the best. Then there has been neither fall nor punishment." "I most humbly beg your Excellency's pardon," answered Pangloss, still more politely. "But the fall and curse of man played a necessary part in the best of all possible worlds." "Then sir does not believe in liberty?" asked the officer. "Your Excellency will excuse me," said Pangloss, "but liberty can coexist with absolute necessity, for it was necessary we should be free, for, in short, predetermined will." Pangloss was in the middle of his sentence when the officer nodded to his henchman, who gave him a glass of wine from Porto, or perhaps Oporto. And that is the end of the chapter, which I do enjoy because you see that even in a satirical world, Pangloss is shown to be the extreme of the kind of neutral, it doesn't really affect me, so everything's fine sort of attitude. And so, because he bears exactly zero attention, and doesn't care who he's talking to, he ends up just consistently getting himself with a bunch of people mad at him, which I do think is kind of funny. I do like the satire and how this has been written. So, in this we see the fervent belief that as long as it's not happening directly to us, it's probably fine, which I think is a very interesting and rather insensate position, but I do feel like that is a lot of, base human action. It's very hard to get consistently angry about something when it doesn't apply directly to you. And that is the end of the chapter. It was 3 pages. I always forget how short Candide's chapters are until I'm reading them. And that's going to be it for this video. Sorry that it is late, and clearly kind of short, unless you like short videos, in which case, you're welcome. It's a rarity on my channel. So, I can put my microphone back in its little, kind of netted box, which was a little awkward to pull out today, because I had managed to get the stand of my microphone poked through the holes so that it was almost sideways instead of standing up, which is a little inconvenient. I'll make sure to put it back properly this time. Anyways, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you've gotten this far. Let me know what you're interested in seeing in the next video. If you have a specific thing you'd like to read and chat about, if you want to just chat about things, if you want to chat about D&D related things, or writing related things, or journal entries, let me know what you're feeling. I did discover that I was further ahead than I thought I was on Inktober prompts. I just need to take pictures of them and upload them. So I'll make sure to do that very soon. Anyways, I'd like to go to bed. So I will be leaving you guys here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week and try to be somewhat productive. Scholastically Natalie is out.